Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the QAHE Solent Pathway webinar series. It's great to be joined today by a range of colleagues from the QA network, as well as colleagues here at our Southampton Pathway. I'm hoping we do have some students on the line too, to ensure that we can get some really clear information across to both students, agents, and recruiters today. So just a quick introduction. My name is Jacob Miles. I am the College Director here at our QAHE Solent Pathway, and I'll be talking you through a few of the initial slides before I hand over to my colleagues and module leaders here at the Solent Pathway. As ever, if you've got any questions during today's webinar, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll be making sure that we monitor the chat as we go through today's webinar. Just a quick word regarding privacy. We'll be recording today's webinar. So if you do have any questions or know that students that can't join us today would like access to this webinar, there'll be a recording and slides available, which will be sent out to you, but also on our webinar landing page on our website. Now, today's webinar, we're taking a bit more of an in-depth focus at two specific pathways, which will be our STEM pathway and our creative pathway. And we are lucky to be joined by Jolene Farren, who is program leader and module leader for our creative pathway, and also Alexandra Brown, who is our module leader for our STEM pathway. Now, before we get into the specifics of those particular pathways, what we'd like to know a bit about you guys is where you're coming from today. And if you are a student, where are you in the world? And is there a particular pathway or subject or program that you are interested in studying here at Southampton Solent? So this is our journey so far through our webinars. I can see a lot of returners, which is fantastic to see. In our first webinar, which took place 2 weeks ago, we had a little welcome. We introduced what the International Foundation Programme is, its benefits, and our aims of the programme. Today, we're going to have a bit more of a specific focus, looking into two particular foundation program pathways and giving you kind of a sense of what to expect on program, the types of assessments, and how you can succeed as a student here at the Solent Pathway. As you can see, we've got a range of other webinars lined up every 2 weeks. So please make sure that you pencil these in and make sure that you get attending and learn more about the fantastic programs and offerings here at the Solent Pathway. So just to kind of a recap, really, I think it's really important for you, the student, recruiter or agent, to understand what the foundation program is. The International Foundation Programme presents a structure and a foundation for students that really want to progress into UK higher education, but don't necessarily have the particular IELTS score or the skills or confidence to get straight into that level 4 programme. Our team here at Solent offer a supportive environment, a well-structured programme of scaffolded assessments and learning to ensure that students feel equipped, prepared and confident to progress into their Solent University undergraduate degree. This slide is just kind of giving you a sense of what will happen. Students will initially come in at the QAHE Solent International Foundation Programme. They will spend just around about 6 months with us, learning the particular skills required, and then on successful completion of their IFP, they will then go into the Solent University the following September of that academic year and progress through that 3-year undergraduate course and then on to their future. So just breaking down the structure of the IFP, this is a slide that I showed last time, and it's broken down into 6 different modules. As you can see, the makeup of the course is based on 4 English-based modules, which all students need to complete. plus 2 specific modules related to your progression course. And luckily today we have 2 of our module leaders here with us that are going to go into a bit more detail regarding the STEM modules and the creative modules. All students will sit 6 modules in total in the International Foundation Programme, and then they'll progress on to the University of Solent into their chosen degree field. Now, it would be amiss of me not to mention the fantastic news that happened for Southampton Football Club last weekend. Southampton Football Club won the championship final and have now secured promotion to the Premier League again, which makes Southampton a fantastic city for football. And at Solent, we're lucky enough to have a partnership with the football club, which means that we deliver, Solent University delivers a football studies BSc, and our International Foundation Programme Business Pathway is a progression route for this. I really want to champion this because I think it's a fantastic course, and it allows students that have that business mind to access a course that could both hit your passions of football, but also present an interesting career pathway into football. And you don't necessarily have to be a football player. You could just have a real passion for the game, learning all about the management styles, the coaching styles, and the business behind football. And I want to take this opportunity to put this in the spotlight for both students and recruiters going forward. Now, that's kind of all of my part over with for the next few minutes. I'd like to now hand over to Jolene. Jolene Farren is our module leader for our creative course, and she's going to run you through a few different slides regarding the course, the makeup, what to expect, and the student experience on those creative modules. Jolene, can I hand over to you, please?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm going to take you through an overview of the creative modules, the types of assessments you'll undertake on the creative pathway, and the materials and resources you will need. I also want to share at the end some student experiences and talk to you a bit about career opportunities within the creative industries. So if I could summarize the focus of the creative pathway, go back. Not ready yet. If I could summarize the focus of the creative pathway, it would be to encourage individuals to develop their own creative practice. So project briefs are designed in a way to stimulate like a personalized response, and tutorials encourage you to explore your own ideas and identify strengths in your practical application. Yeah, so it's very personalized. At degree level, you'll be required to manage your own projects. So the creative pathway needs to support you in becoming a more autonomous creative practitioner. So we do this through a high amount of contact time with regular tutorials which support you with articulating your ideas and support the development of time management skills. Okay, ready? So as Jake's already explained, there's 2 creative modules. In term 1, you have Introduction to Creative Practice, and in term 2, you have the Creative Project. So Introduction to Creative Practice is currently made up of 2 5-week projects, Nature and Form, which focuses on 3D design and nature, and Propaganda, which explores visual communication. This module takes a very practical approach to the subject area, and you will develop a range of skills which you can translate your own ideas through your personalized project briefs. An important part of this module is problem solving skills. You'll apply creative problem solving to identify the most suitable methods for visually communicating your ideas. So it's all about trying ideas out and seeing what happens. Sometimes your ideas will work out and sometimes they won't, and that's fine. But it's all about being prolific in your creativity and having the ability to identify the most creative solutions. So to support you with this, you'll do some research into other artists and designers and use analysis skills to identify visual communication techniques that you can apply in your own work. The highlights of this module is that we have access to a wide range of workshops. We have photography, where you get to use digital SLR cameras and studio lighting. The university has an excellent traditional printmaking studio where you'll be able to use silkscreen and printing, letterpress and monoprinting techniques. You'll also take part in digital workshops, offering you a chance to understand software such as Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Lightroom, and Solent is an Adobe campus, which means you'll have access to Adobe software without having to pay a subscription, which is great. So in term 2, you have the creative project. So this is more about you developing your own project brief, okay? So you'll design and manage your own project brief, and the project brief will focus on your progression degree, and you will look at certain skills that you want to develop before you move on to your progression degree. So it could be a particular software, or it could be a particular type of drawing technique or research that you know you're going to use in your progression degree. To support you in refining your visual communication skills, you'll take part in group critiques, so you'll show your work to your peers and get feedback, which will help you refine your work and your outcomes. Again, you'll continue to use a range of research skills to inform the development of your own project. And the highlight of the creative project is you get to exhibit your final work, your final piece in an end of project exhibition. Okay, so the main forms of assessment on the creative pathway are portfolios. You would develop your portfolios throughout the delivery of the project brief. Your portfolio should tell a story of how your project has evolved and developed through the exploration of different ideas and techniques. So my top tip with portfolios is to make sure you get your work into the portfolio as soon as you produce the work. And this gives you an opportunity to reflect on your work straight away and make a more informed sort of annotations about what you're achieving in your project work. For the creative project, you will have to do a presentation and present your project brief to your peers. When I speak to students about presentations, they say that they don't really like them very much, or they don't feel very confident. But presentations are a common form of assessment on creative degrees, and this is to prepare you for industry, for presenting your designs to a client, or if you were going to present some work for an art gallery. So on the creative pathway, we give you time and to practice and refine this skill so that you're ready for your progression degree and for industry. My suggestions for approaching the creative pathway is to take risks. It's important to try things out, do things outside of your comfort zone, even if you're not sure whether it'll work or not. As I've said already, it's about trying things out. It's not about necessarily getting things right every time, because through that process of trial and error, you can find something quite exciting through that experimentation process. Another thing that I feedback from students is that often people think the creative pathway will be an easy option, and it absolutely is not. The creative pathway requires commitment and dedication, and I think you must have a passion for your subject, because to develop and refine the skills that you need for your subject takes time, and you're only going to want to put that time in if you're really passionate about what you want to do. Okay. So I have a student story here. This is a student who joined us in 2019, Una. She went on to do a BA Honours in hair and makeup and graduated last year. So she's now working in London as a freelance makeup artist. And I've been fortunate enough to keep in touch with Una throughout her degree. And one of the things that she said was really important to her was the opportunity to work with other students from other progression degrees. So she would often work with fashion photography students, fashion promotion students, and this gave her real life industry experience, because that's what you would do in industry, is collaborate with other freelance artists. And what Solent's particularly good at is creating like work ready skills and environments to support their graduates into employment. And in these images, Una's makeup designs, she would have been working with a team, including a fashion designer and photographer. So if you were interested in this particular degree, you will see that it's likely that you'd go on to do some freelance work as the most typical progression route, and looking at typical salaries between 170 to 450 per day in the UK. The next case study is Robert, and he also joined us in 2019 and went on to do architectural technology. When he graduated, he started an internship as an architectural technologist at a local architect company, and he's just recently got a permanent position in another architectural company quite local to here. So I've kept in touch with Robert as well, and he was very explicit about how helpful he found the IFP. He thought it helped him with his time management skills and growing confidence to be able to present his ideas. There's a picture of Robert at his final exhibition, which was, a complete transformation in his confidence and ability to present his work. So it was really great to see. There's quite a range of different roles you can go into. As a graduate, you're looking at starting around 20,000, but some of the salaries can go up to 40, 80,000 in architecture, depending on experience and further qualifications. It's one thing that I wanted to say about the job descriptions. They're from the Solent website. So if you search the progression degree that you want to do, it could be any progression degree. It will give you a similar description of different roles that you can go into from that degree with the salary attached. So it's good to look at your course pages as soon as possible, so you can have a look at where you're going with your degree. So yeah, sorry, Jake. So things that you need for the creative pathway: a sketchbook and a set of drawing pencils. But these can be purchased when you arrive. We've got a shop at the university. However, buy them in advance. That's absolutely fine. A camera, and this could be a camera phone. It's very much for documenting your work. A laptop. Now, most creative courses would advise that you wait until your second year of your degree to purchase a computer. By this stage, you will have a clearer idea of what size hard drive and software you'll be using to develop your own creative work. However, if you're in a position where you really feel like you need to buy one, then please feel free to contact me, and I can perhaps get a student from one of those degrees or a tutor for you to get in touch with and advise you on the most appropriate laptop. So things to do before you arrive: check your progression degree course page to identify any additional costs for materials and resources. So there is a tab which says fees on the course page, and if you go into there, it could be any degree. It could be like fashion degree. It will tell you the approximate cost for like materials. So it's really important to look at those, particularly for the creative degrees, because they can come with additional costs. Other things to do before you arrive: go to exhibitions. I would recommend going to galleries and museums, find out what inspires you, perhaps start taking photographs of things that interest you. It could be anything, it could be textures, it could be colours. Start looking at the world around you for inspiration and find out what you really like and what you want to focus on in your own practice. Also draw, even if you're not that familiar or confident with drawing, because it's a great way to get your ideas down on paper. So I appreciate I've given you lots of information, but please feel free at the end to ask any questions. And I believe my contact details, are they being passed on, Jake? Yeah, so you can contact me if you have any further questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jolene.
Hello everybody, my name is Alex and I am the STEM pathway tutor. So much like Jolene has just done for creative, we're going to talk a little bit now about the STEM pathway. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering and maths, which is a pretty massive field on its own. We do have a large range of degree subjects that you can do after the STEM pathway that do range over quite a few different disciplines. So in our time together, we will be trying to develop the skills that you need for all of those. So the key skills that we will be developing in the STEM pathway are numerical fluency, so working with numbers, maths, basically, data handling, so interpreting and analysing large amounts of data, and then more broadly, thinking logically and problem solving. So being able to work step by step towards an answer, whatever that looks like, whether it's like a numerical maths answer or whether you're writing an algorithm or a program. And problem solving, which for us in STEM really is more putting the skills and the facts that you know into context in the real world. You know, often in real life, the question does not look like it looks like in a maths exam. So trying to put those skills together to underpin the key ideas that you're going to need on any of the STEM degrees that you could go on to study. Okay, so on this slide, we've got quite a lot of the information. The two modules that we will study together are foundation maths and problem solving. We will study these both for the entire duration of the IFP, so you have one class of each per week. Foundation maths, you probably, what you think it is correct. It is maths, basically. We will be studying the maths concepts that will be applied to all of the STEM, or all the possible range of STEM degrees that you have after the IFP. Not only developing how to use them, but how to choose the right one, given this context and given the situation. We have a list of some of the topics underneath there. Some of them you may be familiar with, which is great. Some of them you may not be, and that's okay. Especially at the start of the maths module, we're kind of starting from the basics again. And basics doesn't mean easy, but it means the things that will be built on in all the different maths topics that we will look at. Obviously, you guys all have different backgrounds and have studied maths maybe in different ways. And so we just need to make sure that we all have that same grounding to start with. And also developing the terminology. A lot of the math specific vocabulary is not exactly conversational. So even though your English might be excellent, there are still some terms that we need to make sure that you know what they mean in this context. So foundation maths, very much that's the one students are not surprised by what the class is like, but it is just really to make the point that it is like maths class that I'm sure you'll have had at school or in your previous studies before. So you will have one maths class per week the entire duration of the IFP. The second module is called problem solving, which is maybe a bit more cryptic as to what it actually is. So within problem solving, we do two main overarching topics. They are algorithms and statistics. So in the first semester, we're studying algorithms. That is how we can building towards how we can get computers to do things for us, how we can automate processes and how we can turn these methods into step-by-step instructions that you could tell a computer to do for you, for example. And then in semester 2, it will moving into data handling, which is underpinned by a lot of statistics. And we're not just looking at analysing data, we look at statistical methods as well. So these are particularly useful in like the health sciences and other disciplines, if that's your target degree programme, where you're looking at, is the data that you've observed actually meaningful? Does it actually mean anything, and what can it show you? So again, you've got the list of some example topics underneath there. The first few are the algorithms section. The second is more statistics. So in terms of assessments, maths, you have 2 written exams. They will, again, be very much like maths exams that you've taken in the past. You do those on campus with pen and paper. For problem solving, you will have 2 multiple choice exams and 2 written assignments. The assignments are worth 40% each of your grade, and the multiple choice exam is only 10. So the assignments really are the 2 main factors in your problem solving assessment portfolio. The assignment will be a series of tasks, questions that will match what we've studied in class. And usually we do every 1 new week of class that we've studied, you can answer the next question on the assignment. So I have it there in the final point in the success strategies is for problem solving. I would definitely recommend working on the assignment week by week rather than leaving it all until, you know, the week before the deadline. Throughout the time that you're working on the assignment, there's lots of opportunities for informal and formal feedback for how your answers are going so far. So you're not just left on your own to work on it, and there's lots of opportunities for feedback from me and time to work together on finalising your answers. So in terms of success strategies, like Jolene said, I think we're all going to be saying this, an interest in your target degree subject is important. You know, there will be times where you might find the maths or problem solving ideas a little bit tricky. You might be needing that extra motivation. It's really important that you actually want to study what you've signed up for after you finish the IFP with us, to help keep you focused and keep you motivated and see why the point of you doing this is. So please don't just pick a degree program because you think it sounds cool or because someone else tells you that it's a good idea. Please look into it and make sure that you actually could see yourself working in that industry and studying it for 3 years after you finish with us. The next one is the equipment. You will need a calculator. I think this has its own slide next, so we'll say more about it on there. You're allowed a calculator for every single STEM exam. Not only are you allowed one, you will need it for the maths exam. The maths exam will be very hard if you don't have a calculator, but you're allowed it in all classes, in all exams, so we would recommend that you get one as early as possible. The next 2 points are really, I think, the key to succeeding and doing well on the STEM pathway. Obviously, we have our class time together, but you do need to be doing some studying outside of class. Looking through the notes, looking through the PowerPoints, there's videos that we make to help you cover the material, but also you need to practice by doing something. The example I always give is like football. You could watch every football match in the world, but that's not really going to make you very much better. You need to practice it yourself. Watching me do questions or working with friends to practice is great, and that can be a good first step, but you do need to put some time in to practice the questions yourself. We really don't want it to be where the first time you try a question with no support around you is in the real exam, because that's not the time we want to find that it doesn't go so well. So we do have lots of options for mocks. There's lots of practice questions, lots of exam questions that will be available to you throughout your time on the IFP, but really making sure that you do put that time in. Especially if you know, and everybody's different, that maybe maths might have been something you find challenging or that you have not studied for a long time. It's very easy to forget all the formulas and things that you may have once known. So different students might need different amounts of practice outside of class. Only you will know how much that is for you. Obviously, I can guide you, but really being willing to put in that time, I would say, is the biggest success strategy for the STEM pathway that I've seen over the years of lots of different students doing this. Okay, here it is, the calculator. So you do need a calculator for every class and assessment. If you have one at home, I know it might not be the #1 priority to go into your suitcase, you know, you've got other important things to pack, but if you have one that you've used for years and you're familiar with, and you have a little bit of space in your suitcase, you are more than welcome to bring it with you. We have a suggestion of this, the picture on the screen of these Casio model numbers, but there are lots of different calculators that are fine. Casio, I believe last year, stopped making lots of their older versions, and these are the 2 that they now make. So if you want to buy a new one, these are the model numbers to look at, but pre-existing calculators are absolutely fine. The main way to check whether your calculator does what we need it to do is if you type in 1 divided by 2 and press equals, we need the screen to show the fraction 1/2. If you can only see the decimal 0.5, it's not the right type of calculator. Another similar check is to type in square root of 2, press equals, and again your screen should be showing you like square root of 2, not just a decimal. All of this information will be repeated to you again it's in the student handbook. We will be contacting you about this during induction. It's really just to make you aware that if you have a calculator at home already, especially if you've used it a lot in recent studies, then please do feel free to bring it with you. I have a student this year who bought a new one, doesn't like it very much, so he's going to contact his parents and ask them to mail it, which probably is quite pricey. You can buy them when you get here. It will be around £15 to £20 depending on whether it's on sale or not and which shop you buy it from. But you absolutely need one. We have had students in the past who try to get through the year either using their phone as a calculator, like in class sometimes. Your phone calculator is not gonna cut it. It doesn't do everything we need it to do. And of course, you're not allowed that in the exam. So the sooner you get a calculator, the better. Of course, you're welcome to email me at any point if you're not sure what type to buy, or if you're not sure whether your current one is okay. Send me a picture of it. Usually is enough for us to work that out together. So there's no rush to go out and buy a calculator tomorrow, but if you already have one, put it in your suitcase if there's space. Really would be my advice. It's just one less thing to worry about when you get here. Okay, and finally, it was hard to give one specific career example because the STEM pathway degrees are so broad. They cover quite a large range. Generally, they can be grouped into this list here. A very popular one is computing and the related disciplines there. We have a lot of engineers. Health sciences cover things like sport and exercise science, health and nutrition, things like that. We have psychology and mental health, there's criminology, and then we have a few yacht and powercraft designs that I must say, I think they're the only few we haven't really had students have done in the past. But we have most of those degrees a student who've already finished the IFP has done, so we can help put you in connection with that student to ask them first-hand questions. But like Jolene says, a lot of the information you can find on the Solent website. If you just Google the course that you're interested in studying, it has a really good breakdown of the module names that you will study over the next 3 years and different career opportunities that you could be expecting to be available to you once you've completed your degree. So the STEM pathway, like I've said quite a few times, is very broad. There's a lot of different possibilities, and during your IFP year it is possible for you to switch. There's some paperwork you need to fill in, but if you're not exactly certain which one, but you know it's STEM, that's okay. We can help you find more details about the exact course to make sure you're on the one that is right for you. And I think that's everything from me. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Alex, and thanks, Jolene. I really hope that was an insightful session for our attendees today, and gave you a bit more insight into the assessment methods, the success strategies to both our STEM and creative pathways. As mentioned before, and I've written it in the chat, we are recording today's session. So if you joined us a little bit late, do not worry. We'll make sure that we send this recording out to you guys and the slides, so you have a bit of a reference point that you can go back into. Now, where I wanted to take this webinar next is a bit of student success. On today's call, I believe we have Hibba and Malak that should be available. So if you are there, Hibba and Malak, do you mind just turning on your cameras and your microphones? They should be working now. I think we've got Malak. Hello. Hey, Malak,
Hello.
good to see you. And hello, Hibba.
Hello.
So
Sorry, I won't be able to join today with my camera. I'm feeling a little bit sick. That's all right.
not Hibba, your voice is fantastic. Do not worry whatsoever. Thank you very much. So
No
look,
worries, thank you.
what we wanted to do today is we've got a set of questions here. So maybe if I can kind of run through them with you and you can give us a bit of insight and your experience on the International Foundation Programme, and then a little bit more about specifically your progression degree. I think that'd be helpful. So Malak, why don't I start with you? Malak, from your experience, what was your experience on the IFP, the International Foundation Programme?
Looking back at it now, I had like a really good experience, mainly because I've met so many amazing people that I'm still friends with till now. And I've learned so much during that year, whether it's like from really writing an essay or referencing, but also like presenting and kind of like working in a team as well. That helped me out so much, and I get like so many compliments now from my tutors right now, just because I'm so used to getting up and talking to people and just showing my work to people.
That's amazing. So kind of developing those core functional skills that you can apply in your course. Malik, I forgot to ask, I do apologize. Malik, where did you come from before you arrived here in Southampton? What was that progression?
So I'm from Morocco. I've came here to the UK using an agency. So I was looking for a university that has like a good interior design course. And I found Solent basically.
Oh, cool. So from Morocco, and you used the agency and you identified that interior design was something that you really wanted to get into, and Solent seemed like a good fit. Fantastic. Hey, Hibba, same question to you. Where did you come from? What was your progression route to getting to Solent? And then give us a little bit of insight into your experience of the International Foundation Programme.
Sure. First, hello, everybody. I'm also Moroccan, just like Malak. I'm also going to say that at first I was going to France for pursuing medical university. I was going to become a medical student, but however, after dealing with the visa and stuff, I've got a rejection after like 2 times applying. So I didn't just stop there. I tried to apply again, and this time to the UK, and hopefully that gone pretty well, and now I'm here. And about my experience on the IFP program, I will say it's very beneficial if it's going to be your first time away from your family and first time in a foreign country. That's very helpful too, so you can adapt yourself with people first, and you can understand how stuff and how things work here, because when you're coming from a different background, it's not always the same. So familiarize yourself with the university facilities, the city, the facilities in the city, and people, make some friends, contacts. I think those are the core things that foundation year provides, along with the skills, the core skills, as you said, that are going to be very beneficial for you on your progression degree.
Hiba, I think you picked up on something that I completely missed there. You're quite right. I think, like you said, the foundation course offers students kind of that soft landing space where if they've not been abroad before, away from family, we're able to offer that additional support and potentially not straight into like a university degree, which might be quite challenging. It's kind of a bit of a softer landing, as it were. Malik, let's think about advice. So if you were speaking to yourself just before coming to the IFP again, having now gone through it, what kind of advice would you give students prior to arriving in Southampton and undertaking the pathway?
I think it's gonna be it's gonna get easier from then. Like, you're gonna go to the International Foundation course, and it might be a bit overwhelming just because you're trying to get used to living here, and you're moving from home and stuff, and you're learning like everything, and also in a new language, if English is not really the first language that you're speaking with. But like, it's gonna get easier just like once you're gonna start like settle in, get like your rent, get maybe like a part-time job if you wanted to, and get to know people. It's just gonna basically be your second home. So don't like overthink it, and also try to learn how to balance your time as well. If you're not good with that, try to go to your classes as much as you can, because I feel like classes and the International Foundation program they are so important, and if you miss something, you're gonna be struggling a lot in your degree course.
Cool, thanks, Matt. So things that I'm thinking there are, before you arrive, think about accommodation. When you get here, get to meet people, get to know people, socialize. you said time management, which I agree. I think getting time management prepared and kind of thinking about how you manage your time is really good. And then I think you're quite right, attend classes, you know, that's where you're going to get some of the benefit and learnings that you need to be able to progress. Hibba, anything else that we've missed there in terms of bits of advice that you'd give a student that's going to be attending the pathway?
To be honest, I would say to be confident making your own decisions, because here, other than pursuing a career, you need to actually build a social life. You need to build a life along with your studies. So to be confident making your own studies in all sorts of ways, in your work, in your studies, with people in general, and also to be confident and to recognize your strengths and your weaknesses so you can pursue in a better way. For example, for me, when I first came, I was on business course, and I realized that that was not the thing that I wanted to pursue on. So I made a transfer, and I study biomedical science, which is the best option I've ever made. And I'm very thankful that I was able to realize that at an early stage, and with all the support and help that I was provided from the staff, I was able to orient myself in a better way. Yeah, I think that's all I was going to say about the advice.
That's cool. Thanks, Hibba. Hibba, I think you pick up on a good piece there about, and I think Alex mentioned this too in her slide, Louis, that the foundation program does allow that flexibility for students that if in the first couple of months that you realize that that pathway isn't quite right for you, we can support in transferring students across. In those first few months, we're able to do that. So it's a great way to try things out, get a sense of what to expect, and then make that decision and follow the pathway in which you really want to do. Hibba, let's stay with you. Hibba, how did you kind of get used to living in the UK? Is this the first time you lived away from home and family, or have you done that before?
It's not the first time because I've had an experience first. I went to France with my sister, but what's new here is there's some culture differences, that's for sure. And I've had to adapt with that too, but I found it easy because I made friends and I made contacts with people, so that's a way to make it easier for you. And other than that, the people pick on the weather, that it could be like one of the big challenges here, but I would say that it gets better by time. And for me, I came from a very small town that was also like had a similar weather to Southampton, so it was easier for me. But it does get better after like the first 3 months in here. Just bring yourself a raincoat, got an umbrella, that'd be nice. Even though I had to buy like 3 more umbrellas because every time I buy one, it breaks. But just you're gonna make your way through it. It's fine. Just you're gonna get used to it. That's the thing you need to know.
Thanks, Hibba. Malik, how about yourself? Any other sorry, not any other. How did you get used to kind of living in the UK, living in Southampton? Were there particular things that you did to help you get used to being away from family in a different country?
Well, I'm still learning how to do it, but I think mainly just like surround yourself with good people that would like, basically your friends are gonna be like your second family here. So like surround yourself with like good people, optimistic people, or if you find people from your own country, that would be like just so much better. I've met Hiba and we've been hanging out like all the time just because we kind of like remind each other with like Morocco and stuff. We get to share food as well, which is like really, really nice. And that kind of helps a little bit with like missing home and your family. And since I came from Morocco, I think the weather was like the first kind of like shocking thing. But as Hiba said, like you will get used to it. It's nothing crazy, so like just bring like a good coat and a strong like umbrella, and that'll be fine.
Both of you have mentioned surround yourself with good people, which I think is good advice, but how do you do that here? Did you meet people through the IFP? Did you meet people through socializing, going to sports, meeting people through interest groups? How did you guys do that?
well, I mainly it's from like the international like program, but I also met people from my own degree course. I know that a lot of people don't really get along with their classmates for some reasons, but with me, because everyone is like has the same interest and we're studying the same thing, that kind of like really helped out with our friendship, and kind of like we started hanging out together. We started going to design shows, which like made our friendship a bit stronger. There is also so many like things going around uni. So if you like pop up in like during a in student union, they have like so many things going on like each week, which helps to like meet people.
That's helpful, Malik. How about yourself, Hiba? Is that the same for you?
Kind of similar. It was also through uni. I was lucky enough to meet people from my degree, from my course, and since then we've always like socialized. We went to social events. We tried to strengthen our relationships through sharing interests and through learning about each other's cultures. I mean, it's not always supposed to be your friends are always supposed to be from the same ethnicity background, but to be open to learn about all the cultures. For example, I've got a Pakistani friend, and I've got a friend also from Nigeria. We always talk about our backgrounds. We try to find similarities and talk about the differences. Why you've got, for example, I've got this I don't know, like this social event, and we just keep on talking about similarities and differences from our backgrounds. And yeah, I think it's just you're supposed to be like open to all cultures and to make contacts through uni. That's a really, really big opportunity university could provide for you. And yeah, also through work, if you're willing to have a part-time jobs, you'll be able to meet new people. If they're not your customers, they're going to be one of the staff. And yeah, it's just that I would say.
Fantastic. My final question for both of you, maybe we'll stick with you, Hiba.
Yeah.
Kind of why did you choose an international foundation program here at Solent? What was the main reason behind that? And then on to you, Malik.
At first, I was going to go to Cardiff University, but because I had to look at the city first and the facilities of the city and the reputation of the city. So that's also a big thing that you need to consider. So after I've done my research, I found out that IFP of the Solent University, that's going to be the best option. And I went through that and I did that.
Thanks, Hiba. And how about yourself, Malik?
Well, when I chose Solent University, I didn't know that they had this kind of program. It was my first time like hearing about it. But my agency, as I said, kind of like provided me with this information. And I thought like it would be a good idea for me, since I was kind of like really scared of going to my degree course and having like a crazy workload and having to adapt to like living here. So I thought maybe in the foundation program will kind of like help me like settle in, as well as get to know like the actual like the UK education system. I feel like because back home we didn't really write like essays the way it's written here, or the referencing part. So I think that was like there was a big reason why I chose to do the international like program.
Amazing. Look, Hiba, Malik, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. I think it's always really important to hear the student's voice and get a sense of what your experience is. So again, we really appreciate your time today. If there's any specific questions for Hiba and Malik, they'll stay to the end. But if you do have additional ones that pop up, email myself or Jolene, and we can contact Hiba and Malik for them to get back to those questions. So just before we wrap up, I'm going to leave a bit of time now. I'm going to leave the next 5 minutes for any questions. If you've got questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand. Just so you're aware, I think the key thing to understand from today is that we have 2 fantastic pathways in our STEM and creative pathways. The foundation program offers a really soft landing, as we call it, for students that are needing a bit more support around communication skills, around academic skills, but also a bit of confidence boosting, preparing students to live independently, live in the UK, and deal with academic study. And we at the Solent Pathway are really keen to support as many students as possible going into October. So if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. And please pencil in the next webinar will be the 17th of June, and that'll be focusing on our business pathway and also the English modules. This particular webinar will focus on particular strategies to success, particularly around those English modules, and also give you guys an insight, as we did today, into our business pathway. I'm going to stay on the line now for the next 5 minutes, so if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If not, you are allowed to leave, and we'll get this recording over to you guys in the next few days. Again, thank you so much for your attendance. Again, thanks to my colleagues in the Pathway team, and thanks to the students that joined us on today's call.